For the modern CIO, the biggest challenge with vulnerability management has nothing to do with technology, but everything to do with operational friction. Security teams, they want 100% protection. Operations teams, they just want to keep the lights on. And so there's this never-ending saga between the two. Security teams feel ignored, operations teams feel overwhelmed. And at the end of the day, the organization as a whole still has an exposure. And as an influencer in your company, it's your job to reshape how these teams view vulnerability management, which provides a much more sustainable approach to managing that organizational exposure. Remember, people didn't get into tech so they could chase red circles on a dashboard all day long. Here are 3 strategies that can help you not only enhance your vulnerability management program, but also influence cybersecurity culture inside your own teams. Number 1 is to build a program. And if you don't have one already, this is something you've got to lay out on paper, get it in writing. Lean into your security team. Your security team, you hired smart people. So let them help drive that program. You can help them with the details like your SLAs or your classifications of vulnerabilities, exception management, things like that. But engage your security team, because remember what I said earlier, your security team doesn't feel heard. They find all these vulnerabilities, produce all these reports, and engineers over here, right, they didn't get into tech to chase red circles on a dashboard. But your security team gets frustrated because those red circles aren't being addressed. And so there's this gap. But if you allow your security team to feel involved in that program build or enhancement of the program, now they feel heard, and they are now influencing the overall program and what's officially on paper. They're not just listening to somebody say, here's the policy, let's go do it. Number 2, the really important part here is when you do get to your service level agreements, because this gets into remediation. The team could say, we want to address low risk vulnerabilities in 48 hours. But guess what? IT could turn around and say that isn't happening. So this is your opportunity to influence the security team, get them to reach out to the operations team. Now you start some collaboration. Security team has this expertise, and they're now able to feed some of that over to operations. They're now listening to operations, which leads me to number 2, is your workflow, right? This is the engine of the whole thing. Lean into your operations team for this. You need ticketing, or you need to manage the vulnerabilities inside the platform itself, whatever you're using, say, to scan for vulnerabilities. Whatever the case is, you've got to have a workflow. So lean into your operational team who has experience with this, because guess what? There's also an opportunity to get them to reach out this direction to their security team and start collaboration the other direction. Because, at some point, operations are going to have to move faster, security team is going to have to cut some slack. There's got to be a balance. You now have orchestrated both sides initiating some of that collaboration. That's the culture piece. And then number 3 is just execution and growth. So once your 2 teams that have these, subject matter experts, once they've helped establish the thing, the inner workings of the whole thing, then you hold them to, success, right? And during these, they should have been able to help maybe collaboratively you figure out what does success look like? What does a successful vulnerability management program look like? And you hold the teams to that. They came up with what is success. You need to hold them to that. And then 6 months later, dial it up a little more. Maybe if whatever your KPI is ends up being a 5 or a 10, however you mold that, maybe the next month or for the next 6 months, it's 20. You bump that up. But you're giving your teams the ability to drive the overall program. You're incorporating some collaboration between the teams, which is the culture piece. And then you're executing and holding everyone accountable to it. That is the key to vulnerability management.